giving a brief introduction on what solar thermal is, because it is not as clear as we could think. So first of all, within renewable energy sources, I always have to make very clear that solar thermal is producing heat and is not producing electricity. So solar thermal should be clearly distinguished from solar photovoltaics and from concentrated solar thermal electricity, CSP. So we belong to heating, and heating is a very important part of the energy demand, and I will dwell on that a little bit later. Most of you might be familiar with what solar thermal is, and I apologize in that case, but so on the left-hand side, you have a classical example of the solar thermal installations that you will see in Greece, in Cyprus, in Southern Europe. And also to pick up on what Mr. Stahl was saying before, in China, there is a massive deployment of solar thermal, and China is by far the biggest solar thermal power in the world. On the difference to other technologies, they don't export it, they manufacture it and use it themselves. So because of the installed capacity of solar thermal in China, just behind wind energy, solar thermal is still the second largest renewable energy source worldwide. The other classical systems that you would see are more to be found in the rest of Europe and mainly in Austria and Germany. Those what they call the forced circulation systems with the solar panels on the roof and the tank. And you can do both, so produce your warm water, but also space heating. And in certain cases, in new applications, you can also do solar cooling. So the classical applications are domestic hot water, space heating, but you can also, with the help of solar thermal, cover all other heat demand, namely industrial process heat, solar cooling, solar district heating. In Denmark, it's extremely successful, and although you would think that in a northern country, solar thermal would not be the ideal solution, solar thermal is growing rapidly in Denmark and only in district heating solutions. And then water treatment for certain regions. I usually, when I do a speech in an event, try to adapt and not to simply take the same message and the same propaganda everywhere. So I've been to the website of the initiative that gathers us today, and those are some extract of the issues that they have identified as being the energy issues of rural areas. And in the next slide, I would like to show to which extent solar thermal can be part of the answer and the solutions of the issues that have been identified. So the first one is the fact that energy supply is crucial to rural development. Then the fact that in rural areas we are very often off-grid. Second, that because of this, rural communities are forced into choosing high-polluting energy sources. Then it is made mention of the fact that energy efficiency is, in houses is expensive and limited. And then that it is important to having access to a variety of energy solutions. First of all, the fact that the energy mix in a rural area. So as I was saying before, the importance of heating in the energy consumption is always underestimated. For the first time in the directive on renewable energy adopted in 2009, there was a new pillar of the final energy demand identified. So electricity and transport had been already handled before by a previous text, but for the first time it is a knowledge that nearly 50% of the energy demand in Europe is in form of heat, and that it is also needed to improve efficiency and the share of renewable in this very important part. So solar thermal is a heat solution, and that is a very important part of the energy mix. In dwellings, this part of heat goes up to over 80%. Then the fact that we are very often off-grid in gas grid, electricity, even electricity grid in rural areas. Solar thermal is a decentralized solution by essence, and it's available everywhere, and as I was mentioning before, not only in the southern parts, but there is also a lot of solar thermal in Central and Northern Europe. Then the fact that in the rural areas, very often they use polluting solutions or what was mentioned in the site. Just wanted to say that in that respect, solar thermal is, of course, really the renewable energy sources by excellence in the sense that it doesn't produce any form of emissions of any kind, and that it is available for free and completely, without impact of any kind on the environment. About energy efficiency, the debate that was mentioned before is of course very important, and everybody can only agree to the importance of energy efficiency and energy savings. Renewable heat technologies, and solar thermal in particular, are a bit in the middle between energy production and energy efficiency, in the sense that when you look at the criteria in the PPD directive and in energy efficiency in general, you could notice that the use of extremely efficient heat solutions contributes very importantly to the energy performance of buildings alongside insulation. So when we think energy efficiency, we should not only think about insulation, but also about efficient heating and efficient warm water. And then the fact that it is needed to have access to a varied type of resources and energy. I would just like to point out the fact that solar thermal can and is actually combined with nearly all other heat sources in fact and in practice. I know that one of the main supporters of this event is, for example, the LPG producers, and that I would point out that, for example, in Germany, nearly every weekend in the Spiegel, you can find an advertisement for a combined LPG solar thermal solution. In several European countries, very often new heating oil boilers are sold together with a solar thermal solution. Solar thermal can be combined with heat pumps, with gas boilers, etc., etc.